Welcome to Pimpy's Investment Chat, where we keep investment talk simple. And here's your host, Pimpy.
What is going on out there, peeps? All right, we're watching gold and silver continue to take off. They try to hold it down, but it's not working. In addition to that, I still have long conversations with people who are crypto enthusiasts who absolutely have all kinds of faith in cryptocurrencies. And I keep warning you to be careful because our government is not going to allow an alternative form of currency to compete with it. And I've been saying that now for, a year and a half or so? But now the experts are saying it out loud. Let's find out what's going on in the world of gold, silver, and cryptos. Before we get started, if you're not a subscriber, please do so, because when you do, it helps out the channel, and I certainly do appreciate it. If you're thinking about buying gold and silver, or any other precious metals for that matter, head on over to our friends at Money Metals Exchange. The link is down below in the description. When you purchase over there at Money Metals Exchange, you will now be automatically entered into a chance to get free giveaways. This month, you'll be automatically registered to be one of 3 people who will receive 10 ounces. That's 10 silver eagles each. So head on over to Money Metals, make your purchase, and automatically enter to win. For those of you who are unaware, I do have my own webpage. I can be found at Pimpy's News Network. Over here, I do post videos that I can't post on YouTube without getting in trouble. I also have my own Facebook group called Pimpy's Investment Chat. Over here, we do talk about gold, silver, cryptocurrencies, as well as foreign currency investments. So come on over here and join us. It's free to do so. I can also be found over here on Twitter, MeWe, YouTube, Odyssey, and now I'm on Rumble. For whatever reasons, my videos are not showing up on my channel yet, but I can be found just by going to the search button and typing in Pimpy's Investment Chat. And my videos will pop up for you to check out. If I get kicked off YouTube or I get suspended on YouTube, you can find me on any other one of these social media platforms. Don't these silver eagles look beautiful? They are gorgeous. You should have one in your hand to check them out. Anyways, if you follow my link to get over to Money Metals to make a purchase, you are automatically entered into a drawing that gives 3 of you an opportunity to win 10 ounces each just by using the link. So head on over to Money Metals, use the link, and you will be entered into a chance to win 10 silver eagles each. You're definitely going to want them extra eagles if you can get your hands on them. So what's going on with crypto? I have people tell me, look, Pimpy, cryptos is going up. It's going to continue to go up. They're going to rebound. They're going to be the savior of the financial world. No, they're not. I told you, don't fall for this trap. If they start beefing it up and crypto start running again, it serves the purpose to keep people away from silver and gold. That's the real biggest panic right there. They're not going to let anything compete with their central bank digital coin. I keep telling you guys this. But I also said if you guys got cryptocurrencies and you use discretionary funds, and if you lost it all and it ends up not being that big of a deal to you, then just let them ride. You never know. But I'm not going to invest any more money into cryptos. I have the cryptos that I wanted. I just sit there and keep an eye on them. If they do good, they do good. If they don't, it's not the end of the world for me. We had that one guy out there saying in 90 days, cryptocurrencies was going to hit $1 million. Now you have another guy out there saying it's going to hit $1 million by the end of the year and $10 million the year after that. But don't take my word for it. I've been warning you about it and advising you to move into gold and silver. And had you listened to me and moved some or all of 25, 30% of your 401ks, your IRAs, your savings into gold and silver, right now you have a huge smile on your face. First, let's get into this. Bitcoin's sitting at $29,949. It was above $30,000. Ethereum's at $1,915. XRP's at 50 cents. Yeah, and you got an idiot out there trying to tell everybody that's going to 500,000. Cardano is going to be 40 cents. Hex is at 7 cents. Dogecoin's at 8 cents. Polygon is at $1.10. Solana is at $23.86. Polkadot's at $6.40. Litecoin's at $92.20. Shiba's at 4011. Terra Luna Classic is at 3012. Saitama is at 2017. Gold closed the day at $2,014 per ounce. So far, it has been holding above the 2,000 level. Look at silver, now at $25.46 and climbing. I told you if you can't afford gold, silver is known as the poor man's gold. Buy as much silver as possible. It's still not too late, because if you think this price is high, you ain't seen nothing yet. And you're going to be kicking yourself in the ass later on and go, man, when Pimpy first told me to get into silver, it was $11 an ounce. Man, the first time I heard Pimpy, it was $15 an ounce. Man, when I first heard Pimpy, it was $20 an ounce. Man, the first time I heard Pimpy, it was $25 an ounce. Now look where silver is, because each of you guys come onto my channels at different times. And over the last few years, it's been slowly and steadily going up. It's not too late. Head on over to Money Metals. Follow my link down below in the description, and you'll automatically be entered into a drawing to win 10 free silver dollars. That's just not for new customers. Also existing customers can enter. This guy's a coin bureau. I want you to just listen to a little bit of what he's going to say about cryptocurrencies, because it's real interesting.
As governments around the world rush to roll out their central bank digital currencies, or CBDCs, their dystopian characteristics are causing many individuals and institutions to push back. Now, believe it or not, but some of the pushback against CBDCs has come from governments themselves. Their primary concern is that CBDCs could destabilize the entire financial system and cause it to collapse. So today I'm going to summarize a recent study from the US government which warns of such an outcome. I'll explain what it says in simple terms and tell you why the real target of the report could be crypto. The study I'll be summarizing today is titled, quote, Digital Currency and Banking Sector Stability. It was written by the Office of Financial Research, or OFR, and it was published on the 22nd of March. I'll leave a link to the full study in the description if you're interested, but I will caution that it's quite technical.
I'll leave the link to that very study so you can see for yourself.
Now, before I unpack the study, I want to give you a bit of background about the organisation that put it together. The OFR's purpose is threefold: to collect and standardise economic data, to perform research using this data, and to provide regulatory recommendations based on this research. The OFR reports to the US Department of the Treasury, which basically manages the money of the US government. To be exact, the director of the OFR reports to the Treasury Secretary. Right now, that's Janet Yellen, who is also the head of the Financial Stability Oversight Council, or FSOC. For context, the FSOC is a government agency consisting of members from the main financial regulators in the US. The FSOC and the OFR were created by the Dodd-Frank Act, which was introduced following the 2008 financial crisis, and seems to have laid the groundwork for the current crypto crackdown. If you watched our first video about Fed Vice Chair Michael Barr, you'll know that he was one of the architects of Dodd-Frank and happens to be extremely anti-crypto. You'll also know that Dodd-Frank created the position of Fed Vice Chair for Supervision, the one which Michael now coincidentally holds. If you watched our more recent video about Michael Barr, you'll know that he also appears to be one of the architects of the ongoing crypto crackdown in the USA. You'll also know that the FSOC has been actively discussing the cryptocurrency crackdown in recent weeks, and it seems that the OFR is involved. Now, the director of the OFR is currently James Martin. In a November 2022 speech, James specified that one of the OFR's focuses under his leadership would be the financial stability risks posed by cryptocurrency. As such, it's safe to assume that the OFR is involved in the USA's ongoing crypto crackdown. It's also safe to assume that the purpose of this crypto crackdown is to get rid of any crypto companies and projects which compete with the Fed's FedNow payment system. FedNow seems to be the first step towards a full-blown digital dollar, and it will be launched in July.
So as I stated, the government will target cryptocurrencies because they don't want anything competing with their central bank digital currency. Now, are they going to wipe them out altogether? That's a good question. And I'm sure some of you out there going, no, my special crypto will somehow survive all this. It might be true that a handful of them do, but if you think they're going to go anywhere as far as value is concerned, then you're sadly mistaken. Again, they're not going to allow the cryptocurrencies to outperform the central bank digital currency. Why do I want a dollar for dollar exchange with a central bank digital currency when I could take my money invested into a crypto that turns out to be worth $500,000 per crypto? Yeah, that's why you know it's not going to happen. So you can see already these people are targeting cryptocurrencies. And that was one of my biggest fears, is that the government would just do away with it altogether. And that's a strong possibility. But not just that. People kept saying, well, the government can't stop cryptocurrencies. And I kept saying, the hell they can't. They can. If you own cryptocurrencies, if you have a wallet, they can freeze your account. They can confiscate it from you. So much for that peer-to-peer total anonymity. No regulations, no taxes, the government not knowing what you're doing, because it's the total opposite. Again, don't take my word for it. Let's listen to Redacted.
Well, we're going to tell you about how the Canadian government chose winners and losers in business around the trucker convoy, because they blacklisted companies that were sympathetic to the trucker convoy and made no attempts to keep that information private or protect the privacy of any of those companies on the list. This is according to some new reports. Now, the RCMP, the police, the Canadian police, offered to act as a conduit of information between provincial and territory law enforcement and financial institutions in order for the entities to fulfill their obligations under the Emergency Economic Measures Order, to cease dealing with designated individuals, and to determine on a continuing basis whether they were in possession or control of property owned, held, or controlled by, on or behalf of a designated person. By official estimate, around $7.8 million held in 267 bank and credit union accounts and 170 Bitcoin wallets owned by the Freedom Convoy sympathizers were frozen by federal authorities at the time of the protests. And accounts were frozen based on this list given to the Royal Police.
So, the Canadian government was able to freeze 170 Bitcoin wallets for those who were protesting and those who were considered sympathizers and donated to the protest. The government froze their wallets. That's the other biggest fear I have about cryptocurrencies. Now, I've been saying all along that the takedown of these banks has been happening now for quite some time. I've been screaming since, oh, good Lord, probably the late 90s, that there's something weird with all these mergers, not just in the banking industry, but in multiple industries. As time went on and we continued to watch banks merge, there was no doubt that something suspicious was happening. In 2008, my biggest concern about the banking industry started to show its ugly face, and we started showing more and more banks quickly merging into these bigger banks. And now the cat is out in the bag. We know that that's exactly what's going on. JP Morgan and Jamie Dimon are the spearheads of this. If you guys really wanted to stock it to them, you should go to JP Morgan and Chase and take all your money out and move it into another account. Don't move your money into their accounts thinking your money is protected. They want 100% control of your money. But let's listen to our favorite investigative journalists talk about the collapse of the banks and how this is orchestrated. I'm talking about Whitney Webb. She has quickly become one of the most watched and respected journalists out there.
A lot of people, they felt nervous that the banking system might be on the brink of another systemic, potentially collapse. And I was curious, just maybe your reaction when you saw the bank runs happen and Silicon Valley Bank go under. What did you think? Because maybe you were already researching this Jamie Dimon situation.
Yeah, to an extent, but the recent crisis with Silicon Valley Bank and the Signature Bank stuff and all that related, those related events, I sort of see as separate from the stuff I was writing about or looking into regarding the Jamie Dimon, JP Morgan, Epstein connections in a sense, just because a lot of that seems to be much more related to U.S. government efforts to regulate crypto and sort of go after banks that are deemed pro-crypto or could be sort of competitors to a future digital dollar CBDC, or even competitors, for example, to the FedNow service that's due to launch in July. Some people noted that, for example, Signature Bank Signet, for example, it may have been seen as a competitor in that sense. And, as time sort of wore on with these particular bank shutdowns, it became pretty clear that, at least in the case of Signature Bank, that particular bank didn't really need to be shut down. And the argument from regulators was that they had a crisis in the confidence of the leadership of the bank, allegedly because they were unwilling to end their crypto business. So, that definitely seems like a calculated move on the part of, the federal government, the federal authorities. And then, of course, you have the issue of the bailout, how most of the deposits at Silicon Valley Bank were not insured. And then you have the federal government stepping in and saying they're going to make pretty much all investors at Silicon, or all people with deposits at Silicon Valley Bank whole, which, in sort of a congressional hearings that followed this incident, you essentially have Janet Yellen being questioned from, I think, a congressman from Oklahoma, forget his name, sorry, and he essentially forces her to admit that that particular move means that, or sends the signal that if your funds are not insured and are at a small community bank, they won't be protected, right? But if they're at a bigger bank that's deemed, essential, or they are willing to justify bailing out depositors due to systemic risk claims and all of that, any of these too big to fail banks, for example, if you have your money there, your money's more likely to be protected than at smaller banks. And this is really consistent with what's happened over the last several economic crises, where you have, further consolidation of banks over time. And you've had, tens of thousands of banks being shut down, largely a result of federal government monetary policy over the last several decades, consolidating, the financial industry in the United States in fewer and fewer hands. And obviously, I would argue that JP Morgan has had a big hand in that. They tend to be one of the biggest winners from these big consolidation moves. And that's likely to be the case as this current banking crisis wears on. And it was certainly the case in 2008 when they, acquired the remnants of Bear Stearns for pennies on the dollar. So I think, if we look at what's going on now through the lens, not just of the crypto situation, but also, this effort to create an even more ever consolidated banking sector, I think sort of the answer as to what's really going on here sort of lies somewhere in that ballpark.
I want to go deeper into that idea of too big to fail and what that really means for society and the public at large. You had a great quote in your article, The Rise of Jamie Dimon. You said that, some of the figures involved were engaged in actions that would intentionally provoke the collapse of certain banks to further consolidate the banking sector for their benefit. The goal, both then and now, seems to be a move toward the logical conclusion of the too big to fail banking model, the eventual creation of a centralized cartel of mega banks that dominate not only commercial banking, but also central banking. A lot of us in Bitcoin talk about the creature of Jekyll Hyde, that there is this idea of a cartel, and that consolidation of power obviously ends up hurting the average person who's trying to create a small business and trying to function in their daily lives in America. Can you talk a little bit about, why it's important that we have competition in banks, and why that model of too big to fail hurts the plebs, the public?
So I'm probably not the best person to answer these questions, but I think it's pretty clear that when you have centralized power, whether it's or extreme centralized power, whether it's in the federal government or the banking industry or really in any industry, it tends to be more detrimental to the consumer than if it's more decentralized and there's greater competition, right? When the power is increasingly centralized, control becomes a big issue, and it stops being about economic freedom to an extent, and about how can we use our power to further certain policy agendas. So, I definitely think it's detrimental. And I think the too big to fail model over time has obviously proven to not be good, really, for anyone except the people at the top of the too big to fail system.
The obvious issue with consolidated power in the hands of few, they can dictate to you what you can and can't do with your money. Where else are you going to go? They know they have you. You need alternatives. So I'm going to be doing a video here shortly on alternatives. And I spoke about this in the past, talking about you people should, and I say you people, and I mean all of you out there, should be talking to your community members, your community business, your community bank about offering what's called local currencies, an alternative currency. There are companies out there that do print banknotes. They're used as legitimate currencies, and there are several cities out there who have already turned to them. You got to take the control out of the hands of the government. You got to take the control out of the hands of just a few bankers. And again, my concern about cryptocurrency, that is coming true, that the banks are going to find a way to do away with them because they don't want anything competing with the central bank digital currency. You heard Whitney Webb, these banks that they're targeting right now are those who are friendly to cryptocurrencies. So nobody should be surprised that this is going on. I've been speaking about it now for quite some time, and everybody thought I was cuckoo. Now look who is the one sitting back going, I told you so. And it's not that I want to be the one that says, I told you so. I prefer to be wrong. I want an alternative to the banking system that we have now. I want an alternative to the central bank digital currency. I just know better than that. You got to think about what we're up against and who we're up against and their power and ability to shut these things down. So the goal is to find the alternative way around without being shut down. Anyways, you guys let me know what you think. I look forward to your comments and I will catch you later. I'm out.